Well, weekly joining me now is center Donald Senat, the senior center. And Donald, yeah, you can say hello. That's good.
Hello. Good.
Donald's a character, just to let you know. Just let's go over camp. Offensively, you guys seem to look a little bit better offensively. Just talk about what you guys accomplished in camp as an offense.
Well, the continuity. I feel as though another year in the offense, every player got a chance to really get in depth, knowing the assignments and knowing why. The big thing was knowing why we blocked the way we did, knowing why receivers had to do what they did. So now we have a full grasp of the offense. We feel as though the offense can take that next step and become a great offense in Conference USA.
Last year, you guys had a little bit of a tough time against Bethune-Cookman, 73 rushing yards in the game. Looking at film from that game, what have you learned from that game, and what can you apply to Saturday?
How important it is for everyone to do their job. There were times that everybody on the field except one guy got their job done, and that one guy who didn't get their job done cost the play. So we know how important it is for every guy to go out there with the mindset that my job is as important as the next guy. So that's the mindset we're going into right now.
As far as the FIU running game, you guys got a couple of new backs in there this year. Talk a little bit about what you guys think you accomplished in camp with those guys and how they can perform this season.
They got a good feel of the offense, We feel as though if we have the playmakers back there, we trust the coach and the scheme. So once we have those guys and the offensive line does their job, that we can take off, basically. So those guys came in and understood the offense, and you guys will see on Saturday how much we have improved.
E.J. Hilliard is your starting quarterback. Obviously, you know him from the Northwestern days, but how have you seen him progress in his college career and now that he's the starting quarterback for the 2014 season?
Well, he's progressed on and off the field. He's become more of a leader, a vocal leader on the offense, telling the receivers, correcting people left and right, and off the field, spending the extra time in the film room, extra time throwing passes to the receivers after practice. So you see his maturity level has improved this offseason and throughout camp. So we feel as though with him behind, we can take off.
That's Donald Senat. He'll be your starting center on Saturday when the Panthers take on the Wildcats.
Yeah. I'm recording it now. Yeah, you good.
So he told us to just worry about playing.
Right.
By this time, some of us we know how many offers we should be getting because we're watching people get offered, and we're better than them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm not going to give another story. One of my guys started at DB since 10th grade at the West, would mean something, national champions and all that stuff. He only had 2 offers. So in his mind, he's confused. So this guy, he did a poor job giving us mail. So we didn't know who really was interested in us and things like that. And to find out my guy had LSU offer and didn't know for 6 months. So a lot of the schools that possibly could have been situations for me, by the time I realized it, because I was a good kid growing up. If a coach tells me just focus on playing, everything will work. I'm gonna focus on playing.
Right.
So it comes down to my senior year, and I'm like, "Yo, coach, this ain't right. I'm an all-county athlete, and I ain't got that. I got offers, but not as many as I think I should have."
Right.
And he's like, "Just continue to play." And then schools started telling me "Hey, we need something like a transcript, something to go back and show somebody." I'm like, "What you mean? It's not my job to have that stuff."
Yeah.
So that first step would be telling kids to take ownership of it. You get me? Go to every camp you can go to.
Right.
And when you go to a camp, I'm talking to my linemen.
Right.
Don't win the rep, dominate the rep.
Right.
Make sure somebody can remember your name.
Right.
That's how you get offered.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that Northwestern taught me.
Mm-hmm.
When you're playing in a game, every snap can be the difference between you getting a scholarship or not. So we have to play accordingly. Taking these plays off, I'm like, I think that the athletes nowadays, you fail to realize how many Division I schools, how many Division II schools, how many division. It's not endless, and they already have people on their rosters that are there.
Right.
So you're fighting the entire country to get that one offer.
Man, dude,
You
that
get
lets
me?
you know you're a special breed of person. If you get slotted, especially at the highest level, man.
And then I'm like, dude, it has to be a mindset. So I'll tell kids, take ownership of it, prepare yourself. make sure you have the test scores. Don't give these schools any reason to not say I can take you.
Right.
I'm like coming from Northwest, you got, they don't. We didn't understand the importance of certain things,
Mm-hmm.
like test scores, the GPA, all of these things. I did personally because I understood that I couldn't. I didn't have I didn't have the family finances to pay to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have it. Again, hey, we come from immigrant parents.
Mm-hmm.
Go to school and further my education. It had to be through me.
Right.
So I had to have everything lined up in order for me to have that opportunity. You get me?
Right.
So it all worked out though. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Mario Cristobal, our guy, Coach Ponce, and those guys.
Right. Right.
I mean, when I signed, it was cool. I mean, I went down there, had to get my last physical, and I had called you because I had other places I could go, but then I don't know if you remember, I called you one day and I was actually pissed off
Mm-hmm.
because my parents were like, "Where you going to school?"
Mm-hmm.
Like, I asked you guys to help me through this process for you,
Right.
and you guys just told me I know nothing about it.
Right.
I don't know who told them that, oh, FIU might be doing this or that, or I could be going here. I'm like, I'm going to FIU.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one school they actually went on a visit with me. The one. The rest of them I ain't care about. And I called you because my parents are mad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm about to go to school for free. And because you don't understand it, like what's happening, you're confused.
Right. Right.
So I called you. I remember you called my parents or my aunt, my mom. It was like, are you guys dumb? Like, he's going to school for free. But they saw like all the mail from everyone in the country.
Right.
All the
Right.
coaches calling. Like, I'm like,
Right.
yeah. But you guys didn't want anything to do with it.
Right.
You get me? So
Mhm.
I made a decision that was best for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And ultimately best for us because I knew that financially speaking, I couldn't go to school in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
You get me? Because you had to get me Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get me? Like, I had to be really logical at this time. I'm the youngest. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't go to school at Rutgers in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? How are they going to get me to drop me off to Rutgers, New Jersey? And these are the conversations I had in my own mind. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
and that comes with, being self-actualized. I didn't come from a family that could do X, Y, and Z.
Mm.
It's not a detriment to them. They worked hard, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I had to be realistic with myself. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
And I called Mario Cristobal,
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal coach.
Yeah.
I remember faxing that paper over,
Mhm.
making it official.
Right, man. Hey, big shout out to Coach Ponce, man. Big shout out to Coach Ponce, man. He's definitely a guy that, I give a lot of praise to as a coach, man, because what you say, that mindset, I know he instilled in you as well. He was like really my first coach. That's why I give him a lot of props. Not literally, I don't remember I don't remember those things. I remember what I learned from him and that foundation that he gave me as a quarterback, because, Ponce was a quarterback. I mean, obviously he's a quarterback coach. But, when he was at Central, he was doing the O-line because he was the OC and all of that. And he understood all of that stuff, and he broke it down from a quarterback perspective. So he gave me a mindset of where I can understand offense because of the way he taught me. Because after him, I had 3 different offensive coordinators, dude. Had to learn a different offense every year, dog.
Nah. So at the West, I tell you, true story.
Mm-hmm.
So when we had Jacory, remember the coaching staff got fired. We ran the same playbook. Heck, we didn't change plays. We added certain wrinkles.
Yeah.
While playing Central was funny.
Uh-huh.
Because our coaches ended up going to Central, and
Right.
we didn't change the name call of the play. So they don't know when we're running the ball because they heard the switch.
Right.
So I'm like, it's like we up front, we ain't care.
Right.
You know where the ball's going. Stop it.
That's it.
Like, let's be honest. You get to the point of football, if you see that fullback motion on 3rd and 1, there's a power. There's something, what's coming.
Yeah.
You can add certain wrinkles, but at the end of the day, I got to beat the man in front of me.
That's
so it didn't happen. But no, man, just like you, Ponce, that first coaching staff I had at FIU, man. Like, I've been fortunate to be coached by some great guys.
Right.
Like,
Great.
I had great high school coaches. At college, I had Mirabal, who's not an offensive line coach at Oregon. Chris Ball, of course. Jeff Collins was our first D coordinator. He made our life hell. He's the head coach of Georgia Tech now. Satterfield was there for a stint, head coach of Louisville, our OC.
Right.
I mean, it was just a factory, man. I mean, we had DB coaches. We had I was really fortunate. And that first year was probably the first 2 years are the best years. The first year we won the conference. T.Y. Hilton was unstoppable.
Yeah, I like watching him. He was fun to watch. Him and John New, that was my two favorites to watch you when you was in college, man. Those guys still doing that thing on Sunday, man.
I'm telling you. So no, but that's the thing. That freshman year, I was on scout team, right? And I'll never forget Cristobal giving us not incentives, but he gave us a mindset. He's like, go dominate them.
Right.
You know how you got guys like, oh man, they'll start a defense. Go dominate them.
Right.
We got to the point where Cristobal had a meeting with us and told us to relax now. You guys are going too hard. We still got to play.
Yeah.
But that defense was dang near unstoppable because in practice, our whole goal, and just Jeff Collins made it great.
Yeah.
For a touchdown, you guys get a break. You mean let's run power. We stopped caring. It's like you just like us. You're gonna get 4 yards of pop. Throw a pop pass in there. Let's go.
Yeah.
Defense, Jeff Collins was a mastermind. So FIU was good, man. I mean, it didn't come without issues. Because similar to what I said, I had to grow up. So when I got there, wasn't the easiest transition, although I knew I was a good athlete. I ended up getting hurt, have cast on my hand for a while. Yeah, man, I think it was the pressure of wanting to be great immediately that got me. And the guy I sat behind, Brad Serini, was an all-conference center. He taught me everything I need to know. He prepared me. He told me I was going to be better than him, and that was a little bet. But when you combine that with having to learn the college system as a first-generation college student, it was tough, man. I mean, you could call cousins and siblings, but at the end of the day, it still fell on you. And those stories, dude, of having to figure things out, man.
Man, dog. And I'm telling you, man, because we went through a similar path. Like I said, you played higher ball, so you had different issues. For the family, they don't understand. That's why, sometimes, some conversations I don't even care to have because it's like talking to a wall because they don't understand that figuring out piece and sitting in that space of going to figure things out. I don't want to say, but just say in our path, in our journey, that college and playing, they just expect you to get it. Just like everybody expected you to go pro, like, boom, you there. Oh, you should be pro. That's it.
Dude, it's so much expectation, man. That was one of the things that I had to learn to deal with and not resent people for. It's like, minus my parents who watched me go through it, because me making it to that place wasn't a surprise because you watched me bust my ass daily.
Right.
Everybody else thought it just came. I'm like,
right.
Learn this. Like, yo, why don't you hear from me? I'm at practice 6 a.m.
Right.
You gotta be a student. Like, this isn't just me playing around. I'm like, it used to get me pissed off. I'm like, all these expectations, but you don't know what I'm going through on a daily basis. You don't call to check up on me. Like, did you know I just went through an entire camp? My first camp in college almost broke me. I'm like, you mean to tell me I don't go home because home is here?
Right.
So that means my meeting can go as far. This is back when you had the limitations wasn't as strict as now. I'm like, I'm up at 5:30. I don't go to sleep till dang near midnight. I'm like, every day.
Every day, dog. Every day.
Like, and it's not like in high school, it's like, oh man, they take, you are hitting every day.
Man.
And
the body feel like crap.
Man.
Like crap. I know people sit in the fans, they cheer. I know it's a game. We choose to play.
Yeah.
But man, if they knew how we felt.
Dude.
Man.
We have to pass a conditioning test to go to camp. I'm like, we had to run 1 year. I think we had 27 half gases or something like that. I'm like, it's cool.
Time though.
It's
Time.
cool
You got to
until
make your
realize
time.
after number 20, your body feel like it's shutting down.
Yeah.
Like, and then people ask me why I don't call you. Do you know what I went through at 6 o'clock in the morning when you were still asleep? My parents understood because I told them, I'm like, hey, they come back, they're like, oh man, you changed. Yeah, I've been through hell and back. You get me? You got bigger. Yeah, I lift weights 6 days a week. It's like, man, dude, that's what
It's
you get.
real.
I think that's when you came back, I'll never forget. I'm gonna do what I want. I came here to do. I'm going home. Like there is no more. The pleasantries are gone now, man. I done been to hell and back. I ain't trying to do nothing for nobody.
Oh man, dude, I just wanted to relax, man. Like, of course, I still continue to work out, man. But like, I don't know, man. My headspace, man. Just like you, I wanted to be the best, at what I was doing, and it's you just have to be a different type of person to be able to take that and endure it. And you can match somebody, and you can I can understand you, but somebody who hasn't really endured that type of hardship, how can they understand?
Yeah. So what I learned, I think everything in life is a learning experience. I'm trying to say this without being mean.
Mhm.
Only certain people are warranted, in my mind, can give me advice.
Mhm.
And me listen. I'm gonna shake my head and thank you and not take it in. But how can you prepare me to go someplace you've never been?
Mm.
How?
Mm.
I'm sorry, there is no way you can prepare me or give me advice on a place you've never been.
Right.
You give me skills that you think can be transferred over.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't care for your opinion if you've not experienced this.
Mhm.
If you got to push yourself past yourself, don't talk to me.
The opportunity to go to school and play football. A lot of athletes aspire to be a Division I football player, and I'm actually living my dreams out. So it's a blessing. I try to sit back at least once a day and thank God for the blessing. Intelligence and toughness, both mental and physical toughness and intelligence, because we're usually the quarterback of the offensive line. So you have to be able to make quick decisions and split time while being one of the toughest guys on the field. Not really. I just kind of walk on the field, walk a lap around the field, and kind of envision myself making impact blocks. Nothing greater than playing for the hometown team. They recruited me hard, and I felt as though I could be a part of changing and creating a tradition here. My nephew comes to each and every game. He yells and screams. He has my jersey. They just think he's like my son. He's crazy, really crazy. I have my bachelor's in psychology. Right now, I'm a recreation and sports management master's major. Sports sociology. Just learning about the motivational aspects to an athlete and what gets each athlete going and the traits and everything. It's amazing as an athlete to see someone kind of write everything down that makes sense.
So in all seriousness, I'm like, how can you help me overcome myself if the hardest you've ever pushed yourself is to your discomfort?
Most people wouldn't even understand what you just said.
Exactly. So I'm like, this is what, when we have these conversations about what we went through, we laugh at it now because we understood how it felt in the moment.
Right. Right.
That's the only reason you can like it's certain moments in practice. You like, man, something funny took place. You too tired to laugh. You get me?
Right.
That's what I'm like. That whole time, I think, and I'm always going to push people to just I don't think athletics is the only means to do it, but name another place where you can tell your body no and learn how to live in that space. Because football's not natural. We were linemen. We were the only people to have the play to the back of us. Like, we were going against our natural nature. We're going backwards. Stopping someone coming full speed at us.
Yep. That's hard to do, man.
We had to move someone against their will in the run game.
Dude, you know how hard that is, man? So
you
just have to really want to do it. Like, you just have to be I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna move him against his will.
Like, think about it. I'm moving another man against his will. You get me? And people will tell me about what I should be doing. Like, you don't know what I go through on a daily basis.
Right.
So,
Right.
that's why that whole experience, man.
Mm-hmm.
I think being within the realm of athletics shaped my mindset. And I don't think it shapes everyone's mindset because people look at things differently. But I'm like, I was able. The first thing once I started like I'm gaining wisdom, I'm like, I know I've worked hard to get here,
Mm-hmm.
but who am I to be here? Again, I always look back at how I got here. I'm like, two immigrant parents. I'm going to college for free. I'm working hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm somewhat undersized. I'm doing my
Right.
thing. Like every day, I'm like, I didn't have the ability to go to work, which was football practice, and not take it serious.
Right.
Like I didn't
Right.
have the privilege on saying I can fall back on this. What was my fallback?
True.
If I didn't work and I lost what I worked hard for,
Mm-hmm.
where would I go?
Right. Right.
So I'm like, it's a different hunger. And you see it, it's like, that's why you can't teach the kids the dog, because that dog was instilled in us because we understood how hard we worked to get here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We understood how hard our parents worked to give us the opportunity to have this opportunity.
Man, people need to hear that.
I'm like, you want to complain about running 16 110s? I'm like, we're here. Shut up and do it. You can say I could go back home. I can't go back home.
Mm-hmm.
Because what am I going back home to do?
Exactly. Exactly.
So I'm like, that was my mindset. It's like, once you get to that self-actualization, I'm like, now, I remember sophomore year, my dad got sick, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stress, a lot of pressure, and all of these things financially and all that stuff, right? You know, you get to that breaking point in your life where it's like everyone is pulling you. Everyone wants something from you. I realized that I couldn't use the excuse of having immigrant parents anymore. Because I made it to the point I wanted to get to.
Right.
What I do or don't do is now on me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here now. Like, up until that point, it's like cool having, you know, like not having the means to prepare yourself for an ACT because your parents don't understand the importance of it. Not having those means. I'm already past those things where they can influence my life. Now everything from here on out is my fault.
Right. Right.
And people are afraid to do that because it's like the moment you remove yourself any buffer, your failure is now yours.
That's dope.
It is.
That's dope. That's dope. So even in that, let's talk about that space you were in, because I remember that time, because you know you got a scholarship from FIU and you went to college, and within I don't know how many years, I'll let you explain, you graduated undergrad and got your master's, and the same time the school hired you at the same time, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So my whole mindset is like complaining does nothing. Right? It's just a waste of time. Because I realized, let's just say academics, I can complain about the assignment. At the end of the day, if I don't do them, I'm gonna fail. What did my complaining do? But give me less time to complete it.
Right.
So my mindset was, if I give the time, I don't have to worry about it anymore. That's it. People in our family put me on this pedestal like, oh, I'm this intelligent person. I'm like, I have some intelligence. I just didn't complain.
Right.
That's it. Like, if I had to pass 5 classes, guess what, EJ? I passed 5 classes. I'm like, why complain about me taking 5? That's not going to change nothing. Like, that's what I never understood that mindset. Like, oh, we're going to sit and complain together. It's only going to screw you in the long run. So for me, we're full scholarship athletes, which means we have resources to do everything. I get there, I'm like, yo, you mean to tell me you got a building to help me anytime I need help? And they mad they got to be here? I'm like, yo, how about you come get the stuff done so you can leave? People complaining. I'm like, yo, like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, you don't know the material.
Wow.
There's a building and people dedicated to help you understand the material. But you want to stay in your room and play a video game and get mad when you get an F. So me, I'm like, I would set my day up. I'm like, I'm just like you. I want to play my game. I want to go to sleep. I would do all of that once everything is done. So when you're tired, like, oh, I practice some time, I'm like, no, I'm tired too. We practice, you got to go to class, you got to eat, tough schedule. I'm like, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is going to suck for me. Guess what I'm doing Thursday? Sleeping. You know why? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I got everything done. I'm like, so I started realizing that all college is listening. That's it.
Yeah.
60% of college is when people just shut up and listen. You'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
They give you a syllabus in college to tell you exactly what you need to know. I'm like, you gave me a game plan. I sit and listen.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the resources to help me understand it. This should be easy.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. There's certain classes that still kick my ass.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm like, I just started loading up my class schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Freshman year, I'm getting redshirted, which means I don't have to learn a game plan.
Mm-hmm.
So once I realized that, I went 15 credits.
Mm-hmm.
Springtime, 15 credits. We're not preparing for nothing. Summer, I did 12. I didn't know where to go. Like, why would I go back home? What's home for me?
Wow.
You get me?
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of my first year, I had like 40 some odd credits. Mind yourself, like I had met dang near the end of that second summer. I had enough credits to fulfill the end of my sophomore year.
Mm.
So Cristobal being a phenomenal coach he is, right? We're doing our meeting. He's like, what you gonna do? Like, if you keep taking these many classes, you're gonna graduate early.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what you mean? He's like, you got almost 20 more credits than any other freshman. I'm like, really? That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Next semester, I did 16 that fall. I'm passing everything. I'm like, yo, I'm passing everything. I'm like, in my mind, you put me in a class as my advisor. We talk about it. I pass it. We're just gonna continue to move on.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't realize how close I was to graduation to my third year.
Mm-hmm.
Because Chris had the same conversation with me. He's like, are you gonna do grad school or something? I'm like, I've only been here for 2 years. Why are you talking grad school with me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've only been here 2 years.
Right.
He's like, if you keep doing this, you'll graduate next year.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it dawned on me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and talked to my advisor. I'm like, yo, map me out a way to get a master's.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that. She's like, oh, you ain't. I'm like, don't tell me I can't do it. Just give me a map. That's it. I'm not asking for your approval or no. I just give me a map. That's it.
Right.
I'll get it done. I don't care if you don't think I can get it done. I'm gonna get it done.
Right.
Graduated. So I was redshirted, so that means I had the fifth year. I didn't even need the entire year. So graduated the summer of 2013, which is 3 years after I got there. And then getting my master's fall of 14.
Mm.
All
Wow.
for free. And for my master's program, we had an internship. I interned in what would be my first job.
So that's how the transition worked. You know what I mean? So
I interned there, and while I was interning there, something dawned on me itself. And you know, that's when the family was pushing like all the go pro train and all that stuff. I knew football was done for me. Like in my mind, I'm like, I played all these games. This is self-actualization.
Mm.
So I went and watched the Dolphins practice,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I went and had a conversation with guys that I know that was in the league. We had a left tackle named Kalen Hopman. That guy was just a monster. From LA, ended up winning 2 Super Bowls. And I was speaking to him. He was like, the league's not hard. You just have to prove your value. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, for me to stay on the team, I have to learn how to play 3 positions. Because it's not about only talent. Everybody here is talented.
Right. Right.
Because you're at the highest level. What makes you different? I'm like, I can only play center. I'm too small to be a guard in the NFL. I'm sorry. God didn't bless me with 6'5" height or being 320.
Mm-hmm.
My guy had to stay in the league for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
He did everything on the inside and right tackle.
Mm.
Which is why if you're getting cut, if it's between you and a guy who only play one position,
You done.
you get me?
Mm-hmm.
So when you combine that with the fact that I played for a high school at Northwestern, where we all went to school, but not everybody has degrees,
Mm-hmm.
pissed me off.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of talking about it like talking does nothing, I became the person that can impact it.
Mm-hmm.
So everything just worked out, man.
That's dope. That's dope. So, all right. So, what was your mindset from then on? Like after you graduated, you knew, all right, this wasn't for you. What was your trajectory with your mind, like with my future? Like, this is where I want to go. This is what I know what I want to do. I know I don't want to play football anymore, but I'm going to do what?
Okay, let's backtrack. So the hardest thing, and I think you experienced the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
is telling our family I don't want to play football no more.
I remember. Okay, I remember.
Man,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, people started telling me, why are you playing with? I'm like, it's my life. You think why would I play? Well, people started telling me what they thought I should do. I'm like, you mean to tell me you believe I should continue to play football,
Right.
but you don't get up and do nothing for me? Like, I'm confused.
Uh-huh.
It was all of the advice, like, nah, you work so hard. And I'm like, if the person I know I work so hard, I'm the person working.
Right. Right.
Like,
Right.
people were legit upset at me.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing, people wanted justification as to why they want to play no more. I'm like, I don't need to justify it to you because you're not me.
Right. Right.
You get me? I'm like, people get
Yeah.
like, people were thoroughly upset with me.
Because you're supposed to be the meal ticket, boss.
No, I'm like,
Uh-huh.
it was the craziest thing. And this is
Mhm.
why I look at my parents,
Mhm.
because I ended up getting a concussion my senior year, right?
Mm-hmm.
My senior, I got like, I had no surgeries throughout my career. I've had like scopes and stuff, but nothing super crazy.
Mhm.
I remember we played, I think La Tech or something, and they ran the same stunt, EJ.
Mm-hmm.
They had a 2i3. That
Mhm.
2i picked me maybe 25 times.
Mhm.
The problem was I couldn't stop it
Mm.
because they knew our protection slides.
Yeah.
Sliding away from the 2i,
Mm-hmm.
they can ear hole me
Mm-hmm.
25 times, like to the point where I want to slow down, but I can't. You get an ear hole.
Mm-hmm.
After that game, man, I get back to my dorm room
Mm-hmm.
and I turn the lights off. My parents were with me. And I just laid down. They're like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, everything hurts.
Yeah.
Like, and then my parents, my mom's a crybaby, you know this.
Yeah.
Like, she's crying. I'm like, I'm gonna be all right. I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
please don't talk loud.
Yeah.
Like, everything hurts.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was like, I can't go through this anymore. Like, when you have swollen hands and like people don't know the real stuff. Like, people just see the body transformation.
They don't understand, dog.
They don't see the ice tub
Mm-mm.
daily. They don't see the hot tub daily to get your body. I'm like, I played 10. I was violent with my hands. My hands were swollen after every game. They would get unswollen on Thursday. Guess what? I played again on Saturday. You get me? So
I understand, dog. I get it, man. I get it. Wow, I get it. Wow.
So when I was done, and then football that year, being honest, it stopped being fun. Like, and
Yeah.
I didn't like once it stopped being fun for me,
Yeah.
it became a real job.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember your situation too, man. And big shout out to Cristobal and those guys, because just like you said, that coaching staff was a really good coaching staff. And small world, I remember Cristobal from back when I was in college, because he was at Rutgers with Greg Schiano, you know, and he came and recruited a few of my teammates and went at Rutgers, man. And I remember his personality, man. And that has a lot to do, because I remember my senior year, we had a coaching change at O-line, and I was done. I was done. He drained everything out of my soul that I loved about football, dog. And my teammates that watch this, they know who I'm talking about.
You know, I was going to give you another story. So one of my best friends played on that line with me. I'm not going to tell his name. I remember because all of us started feeling it because we were so excited because we got in there together. We wanted to play together, right? And we knew that if they let us 5 play together, in our mind, we'll be dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that camp broke us. It not physically broke us because we had already got ourselves into shape. Like, you know, you get to a place when you're like a junior, senior, there's no workout that could break you anymore.
Right. Yeah.
You have your mental is gone. And Coach Chad Smith, you remember my strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah.
He had pushed us to a point, EJ, where I'm like, Just tell me what I got to do.
Yeah.
Like it stopped being an emotion. It's like I'm gonna get it done because of how much he pushed us, and I'm like, I thank him for it because it helped me in life. Like, because he didn't accept no.
Right. Right.
You know,
right.
linemen don't do pull-ups, right?
Right.
All of
Right.
us are doing pull-ups, EJ.
Yeah, all y'all boys doing pull-ups, man.
330, my boy Jordan White, 330 doing pull-ups.
Wow.
There
That's
was no
dope.
excuses with him.
Mm-hmm.
So no, that camp, man.
Mm-hmm.
I remember an instance where my dog quit
Mm-hmm.
because it got to the point where he's like, man, if you don't love it, getting cussed out really feel like you're getting cussed out.
Right.
People come
Right.
up sideways. It doesn't feel like you're attacking my game anymore. I don't love this no more. Feel like you're attacking me, the person. You get me?
Oh, I get you. Because there's some things I want to say, but I'm gonna keep those stories to myself because of how I felt and the things that I wanted to do to that coach. Because like the constructive criticism, I didn't want to take it anymore.
Mhm.
Just I trust me, I'm gonna save my story though, because it's not so nice. It's not so nice.
What coaches must understand, right? In order for you to talk to me directly, I have to believe that you care.
Right.
That's the foundation.
Yep.
Like it has to be, like for instance, I'm gonna speak his name, Cristobal or Mirabal. Those two, like they could call me anything in the world, but I knew, come hell or high water, they had my back.
Right.
Period.
Right.
So it's like if Cristobal get in your face because he loved doing it, you're gonna take it. But like you didn't, like when the new coaching staff got there, we never built that rapport. You get me? It was literally like, you need me because you can't out recruit me right now, and you need to win. That's the basis of our friendship. And of course, I know people were trying things like that. I'm not gonna say they were bad people. It's just we were older at that time, which means we paid attention. That we're not young. You can't make us see what you want us to see. We're looking at everything holistically.
Right.
And once we realize how you move, you can lose us.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened.
Right.
And we had a bad season. A lot of our guys ended up getting into some trouble and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone piled on it, and then it got bad. And I told you, I have a personal story I'm not going to share about graduation.
Yeah.
Y'all completely.
Right. Right.
You get me?
Right. Right.
So when that happened, and I'm like, I got like basically called out for attending my graduation. I'm like, you lose me the person.
Right. Big time.
But I was the captain that entire year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it's noticeable that like people listen to me.
Yeah.
I go to media day and stuff like that. But there's no relationship. But no, going forward, I mean, the mindset, man.
Mm-hmm.
Once I was done with college, I knew I had to go make money. Again.
Yeah, just like me, man. I
like,
remember.
There is no, people get that
remember.
6-month grace period.
Right now.
You have bills. You have expectations. Again, we don't come from the wealthiest family.
Right.
So you have to learn how to fend for yourself. So in my mind, before graduation, I'm like, how am I start making money?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't have a plan. I am my plan A and plan B.
Mm-hmm.
So it was put up or shut up time for me.
Mm-hmm.
I had to use those gifts, had to be tangible with them. And luckily, I already had something lined up.
Mm-hmm.
But even with that, before you get to a place where everything is easy, I think everyone has to struggle by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people don't want that side of it,
mm-hmm.
because there is no way around the hell you have to experience before you get to your success. There's no way around it.
Right.
And that's what I think this next generation, they want this microwave stuff. I'm like, dude, like, in order for you to really truly understand what success means, you have to have stories you haven't told anyone but yourself. Like, you have to have stories that no one know about, situations that you've been through that you don't know how you got out of them.
Man, I told you about one, and I don't care to share because I kind of keep that story to myself. I don't tell many people that story, but I mean, I had to overcome. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, hey, I get it. I get it. I get it.
Like, and I think this goes back to being self-actualized, man. I mean, I couldn't complain. I could be frustrated.
Right.
within my frustration, I had to figure out a way to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
You get me? So I get the job at FIU. Where we live is nowhere near FIU. I don't have a dorm room anymore, so I have to commute. I had no car.
Wow. Wow.
I had no car.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine having to get to and from work. I had to be in my office by 8 o'clock.
Wow. So what'd you do?
Anything I had to do, cuz.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
You
people
made it
help.
work. No complaining. Made it work. Just make it work.
Like, you get pissed off because you're like, I'm not supposed to be in this situation. You start blaming people.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, true story, I'm on the bus getting home from work. Mind yourself, it's like, Miami traffic. I don't get home. I leave work at 5:30. I don't get home till like 8 o'clock. And on the bus ride, I'm pissed off. Then, because the bus ride was so long, I was pissed off to like, okay, I got to figure this out. I'm being real. I'll never forget. I had to go because if
I just think it's funny how life works because it puts you in a spot where you didn't have a choice but to think. You couldn't go anywhere.
I'm on the bus, man. I'm going through Calle all the way to get to downtown Miami to get off, to get on another bus to go. I'm like, man.
Wow.
And I got all my work clothes, like slacks and all. I got my headphones in. I'm like, I got to figure this out. I can't get mad at nobody. Even if my frustration is warranted, I'm like, I'm in this situation now. What will I do?
Right.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So even with that, I'm like, I was joyous because I'm like, I get a job before I have a degree, my master's. You get me? People are still frustrated I'm not playing football anymore, but I'm like, the hardest part about leaving college is finding a job.
It is.
I got one.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the best money, but I'm like, it's money.
It is.
So, I mean, I just took it for what it was. Ended up buying the first car, getting to and from, having to deal. But it taught me so much, man. I'm like, during that time, there's no shortcut. And I was looking for a shortcut so much. I wanted a shortcut. I'm like,
man,
I want a crutch, someone to lean on, someone to help me. I had nothing but myself.
Right.
People were willing to help sporadically, but I'm like, at the end of the day, if I didn't figure it out, no one would.
Right. Man, and this is all about you. Like I said, when I bring people on, it's all about you. But I always tell people like to go within. It's just like processing things and learning how to trust yourself. That's basically what I mean. And people don't understand that because everything, just like you said, sometimes we look for that crutch. We look for something external, but you gotta toughen up and go within yourself and take whatever life is giving you and process it and figure it out.
You see, you often, like we spoke again when you were up here, like I say being self-actualized a lot, man, because I think the one problem we have, and I'm hoping that during this COVID time, people had the chance to do it. Right. Be honest with yourself, period.
I love it.
Be honest with yourself about where you are.
I love it.
What you can do and where you're trying to go.
Mm-hmm.
I think the issue we have as a society, we're trying to project something we're not. In order for you to know how to get to where you want to go, you have to first come to grips where you are, how you got there. You get me? I'm like, it sucks. Right. So for me, I had to come to something. I'm like, how did I get here? I had to ask myself these real fundamental questions. Whose fault is it that I'm here? Where do I want to go and how do I get there? That's it. There is no secret formula to success. I think the reason people are failing at becoming successful is because you're putting all your failures on someone else. Like, a certain age, man, I'm sorry. If you are within a certain age group, stop blaming your parents.
Wow.
Because now you're making decisions.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, you can say that the foundation is messed up. I understand that. You can say I've had to work harder because of my foundation. I understand that we had to work hard. Right. But can we blame our parents being immigrants now?
No, definitely can't. Because they, even though if the foundation was messed up, you made it, just like you said, you got to a point. It's just like me too. I saw a point and I got to that point, and this, you can't say anything to your parents there because in spite of whatever you got there. So if once you get to that point, it's like you start fresh because you make the decisions.
So I love using sports analogies. In the NCAA basketball tournament, all you gotta do is get there. That's it.
That's it.
And win one game.
That's it.
Win another game.
Yep.
Can you blame Duke for having 6 All-Americans? They're just as you was there. Period. Then you have a chance to prove how much you've worked once you get there. That's it.
That's it. That's it.
Is it going to be fair? No. Like I told you this here. I'm very self-aware. There's certain people you stand in the room with, they've had a 15-yard head start. Is it your fault? No. Is it their fault? No. That's just that's the cards that life has given you.
Mm-hmm.
Complaining about it does nothing.
Right. Right.
So instead of looking at where he is and where he's starting, I'm like, I have to look at myself. This is where I am. I can't look at you. It's not fair to look at you. I look at myself and look at where I want to go. That's it.
That's it.
Once I realize the only competition I have is with the person I could have become, that's it. I'm like, I can't look at someone else's race. And that's where we fail. It's like the social media is like, oh, I want to move like this person is moving. Ask yourself, have you worked as hard as this person has worked, or were you blessed as this person was blessed in the beginning? If both are no, you can't live that life.
That's it.
That's it. But it sounds mean to say. It's like, life's not fair. But life is always equal.
Explain.
I'm like, when you start, like, who you're born into, the access you're privy to, you have no determining factor on that. But life will always give what you've worked for, making it equal. If you worked hard for it, you will receive it. No matter who you are. Where you start, you can't do anything about it. But if you put in the time and the effort, you'll make it to where you need to be.
Period.
That makes it equal. Because in all honesty, if me and you work as hard as we work, we're gonna get what we deserve.
Right. Right. I mean, it happens in life because I've seen it in different areas, and I'm pretty sure you've seen it. Just like we talk about sports and football, we were able to manifest scholarships and do different things like that because we were able to put in the work. You know what I'm saying? So it's that consistency that a lot of people sometimes it's like going to work out in the gym and day one you want to see muscles. No, boss. It don't work that way. That's not how it works.
And I think it's dumb that people look at the man with muscles and say, I deserve to be there. You don't.
That's crazy. That I think that is crazy. Yeah.
You don't. I'm like,
yeah.
Did I put in the same time as him?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
And this is another thing people are afraid to say. And is my genetic makeup one like his?
I don't understand that part of that's weird, dude. That's because you have what you have.
But that's another thing, right?
Mm.
And I'm going to be very controversial. I don't care. This mindset, right? I believe that you can do a lot that you put your mind to, right? I really do. But telling people that there are no limitations is a lie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And people don't want to hear the truth.
Uh-huh.
Because in all seriousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can work as hard as you want to work sometimes, right? If you're not self-actualized with like your abilities, you will push yourself to something you never could make it to.
Whoa.
Like, and this goes back to my sports analogy, right? I played with a couple guys. I've had teammates who worked harder than me.
Mm-hmm.
But because of my genetic makeup, because of God-given ability to comprehend, they just could never be better than me. So I'm like, if we all start looking at our races individually, understand our strengths and weaknesses, understand how much we can do,
right?
What people are telling me we can do, then we can make a decision as to what our limitation is.
Right.
Whereas I think this whole notion of like, we're pushing everyone to be the same thing. Everyone could be great. What is greatness for you?
Right.
Like I compare it to this. I'm like, We had this conversation about how our family views me, right? I can go into that, but it's a carrying capacity in itself. So for me, um, I think before we ever step foot on this earth, we're created with a carrying capacity,
Mm-hmm.
right? With what you can deal with life, how far you can take yourself, what are your limitations? I think we have to start telling people to look at themselves and be satisfied with what their carrying capacity is. Because this notion that everybody can be a leader is false.
Very true. I get that.
You get me? Just all of these notions that we push are the reason why people don't feel satisfied with their life.
Mm.
Because you're not trying to live your best life. You're trying to live the best life. And that the best life might not be your best life. Like, and I hate this, like,
I get
that's why
it.
people become self-actualized. I'm like, the moment you get in tune with you, not with what anybody's telling you should be, but with you, you'll be satisfied with life because now you know what to strive for, what to achieve, what you need to do, where your weaknesses are. You understand why you're created.
Right.
Then everything takes care of itself.
Right.
But what we've been taught is that, okay, the nature of success is having $60 million in the bank, right? The nature of success is to reach this level of education. What if success for you isn't either of those things?
Right.
And it never was supposed to be.
Right.
And you consider yourself a failure because you've not achieved what was not yours to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's why people are failing at life. So I'm like, I preach to be self-actualized, man. I'm like,
That's
go
dope.
to a corner and realize who you are without influence, without input, without any of those things. Go talk to you. Go get in your own mind. Because everyone has purpose.
Right.
No one's purpose is the same, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think people are failing. Like, this is something I'm passionate about. I'm like, in our culture, everybody has to be a doctor.
I
lawyer.
know. Doctor, lawyer,
I'm
crazy, silly.
like, do you realize that not everybody's gonna become that doctor? So what you've done to this child prematurely is telling him he's a failure.
Mm. Mm.
Because what you believe to be his life, he hasn't self-actualized what his life is. Anything that's not what you've been ingraining in his mind is failure.
That's
How
dope.
do you push for greatness if you already think you're a failure? And these are the issues I think fundamentally. I'm like, if you start teaching kids, what are you good at? What do you want? How are you going to impact the world?
Self-actualization, just like you said.
No, it's
That's
easier
big.
that way, but that's not how we teach.
True. True.
And I have a problem with that thoroughly because I've dealt with it myself.
Hey, I think, yeah, go ahead.
Imagine your parents telling you you have to be this, you have to be that, and you working hard and you're not achieving it.
Mm.
You know how hard you worked. And then you realize one day I could never be that person. That's when you go through depression. That's when, all of these things because I am not worthy anymore because what the standard was my parents gave me, I can never meet. Although it was never my standard to meet in the beginning.
Mm. Man, that's deep. That's big time. And I think too, like a lot of parents need to hear stuff like this because kids are not born to be your plaything kind of thing. You know what I mean? You're there to protect and help, assist them in finding themselves. That's my true thought of being a parent. They have their own thoughts and ideas and visions of what they want to do.
Exactly. But that's not how people are taught. I'm like, that's why we have a world full of all these people who never realize who they truly are.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
I'm like, that was the hardest thing for me to realize. Like, having expectations is cool, but knowing who you are is better.
Right.
That's
Right.
it.
Right.
I'm like, and that's why people have seen the change in me. I'm like, I don't need you to celebrate me. It's great for you to do so,
Right.
but in your celebration, I get lost trying to be who you think I need to be.
Right. Right.
I need to figure out what I'm called to do because then things will start to flow.
Right.
Man, and this is all the things you learn once you get put in situations that you can't run and find someone to save you.
Nope. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and like, okay, what's next? What do I do next?
And then this is the question: how did I get here? What mindset pushed me here? What wrong advice got me here? Who did I listen to? Who should I not be listening to? Am I listening to myself? That voice that I hear about myself. What am I not doing right? And
Man,
once
that's
you
deep.
ask these questions, you start moving differently.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no offense to anybody else. I don't need you to tell me who I am or what I should be doing, because only I wake up as me.
Right.
I'm sorry. I love your advice. I love that you care. I really do. And I love the fact that people feel the need to help push you to what they believe success to be. But again, I always say, how can you bring me someone you've not been?
Mm. Mm. Yeah, that's true. And that's where you have to look in within yourself and figure out, like, where do I want to go? And then you can navigate and find whatever's your crowd, mentor, whoever you decide to lean on to help you get
Yeah.
there. You know what I'm saying? But that's deep.
That self-actualization piece, I think, if anything, should be taught, should be practiced. Everyone should be striving towards that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, because just the term success is a diluted term,
Right.
because I believe success for people is different.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're talking about when you're athletes, right? For what, like you had one of your guys, I'm just using an example now. If one of your guys was able to do a correct down block consistently,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you see him pick up a blitz without help, that's success for you.
Mm-hmm.
But then you can have another guy who, if he does not get a pancake, is not successful.
Yeah.
It's not fair,
Yeah.
but it's how life is.
Yeah.
It's like asking me to do a block that Kelsey can do for the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
If I pick the guy up and don't get ran over, it's a successful play for him.
Right.
But if he doesn't get to the third level, he's not successful.
Yeah.
If that's how we look at success when we're talking about things directly, how is success often defined by one definition everywhere else?
Mm. Mm. It can't be. It's all perspective.
It is,
Mm-hmm.
but no one has taught you that.
Right. Right. That's
No one teaches
big.
that.
That's big. That's self-actualization. So if anything we take out of this conversation, we're gonna take that self-actualization. That's deep. That's deep. You got to understand who you are and where you stand in life in order to navigate life.
That's
Period.
it. And that's my story there. It's like a lot of my thing, like being honest, I've had great people in my life. I've had influential people in my life. I've had examples like you. I've had people who have kept the BS away from me. And I think that's amazing in itself. People are willing to be completely honest about, if you make this decision, you're gonna end up here.
Right.
Not gonna tell you what to do,
Right.
but here are the options of life.
Right.
We've had family members who showed me both without even them knowing.
Right.
It's like I was observant enough to see that if I did that, that would be my result.
Right.
I don't need to go get my hand burned. It's dumb. If I watch
Right.
you're burning, why would I follow you to get
Yeah.
burned as well?
That's it.
So I'm
it.
like, I want to learn. Like, I never understood the concept. Like, oh, you have to learn from your mistakes. If someone made a mistake before you, learn from theirs.
Hey, that's it.
That's it.
That's it. Hey, my professor told me, Dr. Godfrey, I got to get him on the chat too, man. 2 things you can learn from people: how to do something and how not to do it. That's it. That's how he put it. And he said it just like that. He phrased it just like that. I was like, what? Man, that make a lot of sense.
But people don't listen. I'm like, you want to be combative with that. I'm like, no, it's not about, I need to learn for myself. That's dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Life is a series of events that, if you have the correct mentors, are passed down so you don't make the same mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
This is why the elders should be important in the community, because they've experienced something. They can tell you what they experienced to not make the same mistake.
Yeah, man.
That's the other thing I'm big on. I'm like, mentorship.
Yeah.
I think having the correct mentors, and I've been fortunate to have good mentors in my life. You need to have people who know more than you to teach you when you're doing something wrong.
Gotcha.
You need to have those people who are open and honest about it, not those who want to tell you, like, in a passive way that you're messing up. I have mentors that have called me and said, "You effed up." That's the beginning of the conversation, and I'm like, it's not offensive, because he's at a place where I'm trying to be. You get me? So I'm like, once I learned to remove my ego, once you remove the ego, you become self-actualized where you are. You stop being afraid to ask for help because you think it diminishes your manhood or whatever that is. I'm like, once you learn these things, you can now be taught.
Mm. Mm. That's dope. I
That's
like
it.
that. I like that. That's
We had this
big, man.
conversation. It's like, again, if you know where you are, we don't have the ability to ask certain questions to those in our circle because they've not experienced it. I can't go talk to my parents about certain things because they've not experienced it, which means that's the natural place I should go. I have to remove this ego and ask someone who's actually experienced it to help me understand what I need to do to experience what they're experiencing. I can't be this super proud person. I won't learn.
Mm. That's big.
I'm like,
Big.
that's what I started learning in life, man. I'm like, the worst thing someone can tell you is no.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the worst you can do, and I ask you for advice, it's either you're gonna tell me no or you're gonna change my life. That's it.
That's it.
So no, man, that's my life in the whole. Like, it's
Yeah.
just been taking the moments, understanding the moments,
Mm-hmm.
and acting on the moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm. I'm gonna tell you this. Another big shout out to Eso Joseph. Eso Joseph. I remember, man. I want to tell you this, like we was talking about yesterday, when I don't know if my dad, he took us out to eat somewhere. I think it might have been fast food or something. And we were young. I don't remember. You were super young then. And at the time, I'm not gonna lie, I used to get all my dad's attention, dude. And I almost to the point where I almost hated it, as I got older. So he wanted me to share with you. I was like, no, I didn't want to. He got mad. I don't know what he did. He got mad. He ended up making me cry. But he told me I had to share with you. He was like, that's like your little brother from blah, blah, blah. From then on, I'm not gonna lie, even though I cried, I took on that role. You know what I'm saying? Because he planted that seed in my head. But at that time, remember, I did not want to share with you, dog.
I remember exactly what you're talking about. So
You remember?
he got a sub. So we went and got subs. I don't know what part of mine we was in. We went and got subs. So now I remember exactly what you're talking
You
about. Too.
remember?
Yeah. Nah, man, your pops, man.
Yeah.
Another one of those guys who was open and honest about his life, man.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, that's how we learn.
That's how we learn. He was big on family and sharing and all of that. And I know I used to play the little big brother games on you. I think I did Kekken worse. I did Kekken worse because he was actually my little brother. But with the video games and all of that, man, I used to love just like giving you guys advice, especially like when I went to college, knowing how hard it was. Because just like you, I was in a space where like, man, I didn't know. I just did it. You know what I'm saying? I was just at a point where like, okay, I just have to figure this out as I go. I have nobody to call. I'ma just do it. I can't call home and be like, hey, dad, hey, bro. Nah. I just have to figure it out.
Isn't that a space? I look back at it. I thank God for that space, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I didn't have to figure it out, everybody would have been a crutch for me. Dude, it's like those moments shape you, even though during the moment you hate it. The same with football.
Yeah.
Like you understand working hard.
Right.
Not working hard to the point of you're like, oh, I feel mentally tired. Football taught me to work hard, period.
Yeah.
There is no but, if, none of that stuff. Because if you're not getting it done, you're not getting it done.
That's it.
Same thing with those moments. It's like, because you've experienced those moments, instead of crying, you get into yourself and you figure it out.
That's it. You go harder, man. And hey, we could go into my wrap up, man. Like I said, I'm gonna have a few things, and I want you to kind of fill in the bank, and we can wrap up the interview. I have a lot of good footage that I can kind of grab up and chop up. We had a good conversation here. So for you, your perspective, confidence is what?
Confidence happens when you work hard and you push yourself to a point that no one can take it from you.
Okay.
Like my confidence is always not based on my ability itself.
Mm-hmm.
If I know I bust my ass, I'm gonna talk trash.
Right. Okay.
And like football me, like my most arrogant games, and I go back to high school. If I watch film, I worked hard. Like I know I had a good week of practice. I'm selling out the first snap.
Right. All right, so that's a good segue into attitude is what?
Honestly, attitude is something you're either born with or not.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I think for me, attitude is something that's also birthed through working hard, but it's about a demeanor you have, knowing that no one can do or outdo or outperform you based on what you're willing to do to make it there.
Got you. Got you. That's dope. That's dope. And you mentioned this a lot, and you can wrap it up and sum it up right here. Mindset is what?
Everything,
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, your mindset will shape everything in your life. If you, once you learn the importance of having the right mindset,
Mm.
there is nothing you can't accomplish.
Mm.
There's no limitation that someone else can place on you. There's only limitation you can place on yourself. That
Wow.
once that mindset is in you, you stop looking at people, start looking at yourself.
Mm. Mm. Wow. So this is dope, and this is the last thing that you have to answer, and I'll go through my little wrap up. Since we talked about self-actualization, this makes a lot of sense. This is the last one. Donald is who?
Donald's a self-actualized man chasing purpose, trying to
Mm-hmm.
get to the daily.
Got you, man. And like I say, we all go through that roller coaster of life. Why not have a guide to elevate your mindset?
Telling you.
Jim, out. All right.